Welcome to Anything Goes. I'm your 5-wing 4 host, Madison.
And I'm Sleepy, aka a 9. Nice to meet you, I'm Kaeden.
Okay. Alright, so some intro information. We do have an email and a Twitter account, and you should tweet us and email us. The email is EnneathingGoes@gmail.com, and the Twitter is @EnneathingGoes. Can also check us out on other platforms than what you might be listening to right now. We have a YouTube channel. We are on Stitcher. We are on iTunes. We are on Spotify, and then a whole host of other ones, which you can find on our website, which will be in the description link. Yeah.
If you are, well, everything is safe for work now because most people are working from home. If you are listening at work and you're still at work, maybe put some headphones in.
We do curse, and we do talk about sex a lot.
Yeah.
And I have a specific portion of this episode outline devoted to sex, so definitely going to come up this episode. We're both gay, and so we talk about LGBTQ stuff a lot. And we are not professional Enneagram people. Like, we don't have any certificates or anything like that. We're Enneagram enthusiasts. We read some books here and there. We like talking about it.
I just watch videos. I don't read anymore. Lost the ability.
Also, so there were some problems on our website and in the input to Spotify and like iTunes. I fixed the show notes in our website, and so those are all fixed. Those are all up to date. And then for the show notes, I couldn't get them all to fit into the Apple Podcast and Spotify description boxes. So there's a link to our website where you can go and you can read all the show notes and everything now. So that's all fixed. As of right now, we are still a 5-star podcast.
Woo!
Yeah. So you should leave us a review or leave us a comment. You can leave comments on the YouTube videos. So definitely leave us comments or tweet at us or email us.
Yep, yeah. We got lots of free time now.
Yeah. So this is going to be a bonus episode. It's not going to be our standard episode on 3s. Don't worry, that will be coming, and that will be coming the last Friday of April. This one is just a bonus episode. So we're not going to answer the question of the week from last week. We'll save that for episodes on 3s because that one was about 3s. But yeah, this one is going to be about Love is Blind.
Okay, the better than The Bachelor.
It's honestly, I think it's such a train wreck that it's kind of I don't know. It's more of a train wreck than The Bachelor, so it's more interesting to watch. I don't know.
But I feel like somehow, like, you get less of a sense that the producers are meddling and causing drama. The 5 episodes of The Bachelor that I've actually watched, I just got the sense throughout all of it that they definitely stir shit up. Somehow I didn't get the sense that the producers of Love is Blind were actually stirring shit up, and if they did, they had their tracks much better, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I at least like having the facade that, you know,
it's real, genuine drama.
That it's real. I like my drama genuine, organic, grass-fed, you know?
So I had some split opinions from the 2s in my household because right now KJ, my partner, is living with me, avoiding coronavirus. So they absolutely loved Love is Blind. Well, love is a strong word. More like couldn't look away because it's a train wreck, but like had to keep watching. My roommate, Natalie, who is also a 2, was like, she prefers The Bachelor. Like, she was like, this one's too much trashy. This is too trashy, and, like, it's too much. So.
I can't imagine anything is more trashy than The Bachelor. It's okay, I'll shut up now. Let's go talk about the only couple I care about.
Cameron and Lauren. Okay, so Cameron and Lauren, we disagreed on
everything.
What type. Yeah, we disagreed on everything. So I think Cameron is a 6-wing 5 or a 9, potentially a 9.
I think Cameron is a 5, possibly with a 4-wing, and I have absolutely no evidence.
There is no way that Cameron is a 5. No way. As a 5-wing 4. Okay. As a 5-wing 4, sexual social, which makes me the counter type, the most, I don't know, over the top, the most emotional, the most likely to go on something like this, there's no way I would ever end up engaged. My evidence, again, for why he is absolutely not a 5 is because 5s, they lack the ability to start things. So they'll keep researching and researching and researching and researching, and they never have the energy to actually go out and start. And our boy Cameron here was the first person to propose. There's no way a 5 would, if you could get a 5 to propose on this show, there's no way they would be the first. They would be going through everything. They would want to have multiple dates with every single person. They wouldn't want to rule out any possibilities just yet. They would need all of the info. They're also one of the only 2 couples that, spoiler alert. Okay. Also,
there's this whole episode, this whole thing is spoilers. If you haven't watched Love is Blind, we haven't really spoiled anything for you yet because Cameron and Lauren are the only thing that matters. But if you haven't watched it and you want to, pause, spend 8 hours of your life binging on Netflix. You do it anyways, and then come back.
Yeah. So, he's also one of the only couples that actually got married. And I cannot see 6 weeks being enough for any 5 ever to get married. Unless it was like a forced marriage.
Yeah, I feel you. I guess I don't really have any reason except that he's really awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, KJ, so obviously we binged this together because we have nothing else to do. And so KJ's quote for Cameron, I was like, what type is he? Is he a 6? What is he? And KJ goes, he's a 0. KJ did not like Cameron at all.
I liked Cameron. He kind of reminded me of what I imagine, like, a more outgoing version of my father would have been like when he was 20.
So a 6?
A 5.
Yeah.
My father was 5.
If you did a 6-wing 5, that would be a more outgoing version of your dad. Because he'd still have that 5-ishness. Because I definitely agree. I definitely agreed.
I just assume that, 6s... I guess I don't know that many 6s in my life. I just know what it's like when I live at 6.
Mm-hmm.
When I live there. Because that's if I apparently can't visit. I'll buy it. If we're doing, a buy and sell type thing, I'll buy your 6-wing 5. I don't think I can buy your 9.
Okay.
Cameron doesn't strike me as a 9.
That one was my lesser of the 2. I definitely felt 6.
If he's in stress, but if he's a 9 in stress acting like a 6, then there's no way that they're actually as good as they are.
Yeah, that's true. And if you watch the reunion, they did last for an entire year after, at the very least.
Yes. I'm pretty sure they're still together, and they do, YouTube videos together or something.
Oh, that's cute.
I know, they're really cute. I love them.
Yeah. What were you going to say about the 6s? when you live there? Like,
the thing is, I don't know a whole lot of 6s. I just assume that 6s are, let's see, are more like actively, like, they're just more active, which is why I think 9 is the 6 growth point.
I think with the 6s, it very much depends on their wing and whether or not they are counterphobic or phobic.
Right.
Because I think the phobic ones
are less active.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still also just imagine more. Maybe he's just healthy. It's hard to type healthy people.
It is harder to type healthy people.
Which is why I had a lot of problems with Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
But I
also had a lot. Okay.
I think that they're both connected at 5 somehow.
Okay.
Right? So I'm thinking either she is a 4 with a 5 wing, or she's a 7 that then, like, has that connection to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had that stuff about wanting to keep her apartment and her space. Like, she was stressed out about the idea of losing her space. And I was like, that strikes me as a very big 5 thing. So you have to have a connection somewhere. But I don't think you're a 5.
Oh, so recently I have learned that my friend Lily, who we both thought was also a 5 wing 4 sexual social.
Is it 4 wing 5?
No, 4 wing 3. Because what had happened was I had assumed that she had read all of the, types.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't. And so she retook the test and was like, oh, I got new results. And I was like, well, did you read them? And she's like, well, I think I like being a 5. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh,
you shouldn't like being your type. And she was like, oh.
People that like being their types are 8s.
Not even then. They're like, oh, sometimes. But she read the 4 and she was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's not okay. And I was like, yeah, that's it. So 4 wing 3. And so with her, the reason I thought she was a 4 wing 5 sexual social because she has a lot of 5, or I thought she was a 5 wing 4 sexual social because she has a lot of 5 tendencies, especially about her space. Mm-hmm. Like, she and her partner have to have a 2-bedroom house so they can both have their own separate bedrooms. Like, they have to. They spend extra money in order to have that. And that's why I thought that she was a 5, but like a sexual social, so she was more involved in her feelings. Mm-hmm. So that could also be a 4 trait, the whole needing the space thing.
Right. That's why I think Lauren is a 4, and I'm willing to buy, if you tell me that she's a very healthy 2, I might buy it, but I think that she's just so genuinely herself, and that's what you see when you got healthy 4s.
The reason I thought 2 is I'm trying to think of what it was. I didn't see a lot of, like, identity crisis, I guess. And I didn't see a lot of abandonment issues, which 4s have problems with. And so I leaned towards 2 because she had some, like, I've never felt this way. I care about the opinions of my parents. I want to please them. Like she cares a lot about what her father thinks and about the men that she's dating. And so I thought of that as more of like a 2 trait, because in the end it won't matter for a 2. They'll love who they love, but they do want that approval.
I mean, I think especially if they have a good heart triad, though. That's the entire heart triad is like that.
True.
Just looking at what other people think of them.
That's true. I don't know. I definitely think if she is a 2, she's a self-pres 2, and that's where I put in the, like, needing her own space. And the self-pres 2 is the counter type that is supposed to look like a 4, I think.
Yeah, she's somewhere on that line. with the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of unclear. I think if we had, like, more data, or if, you know, I tried to look into some sort of interview stuff, but it's hard to know, especially when people are on camera. Speaking of being on camera, Amber and Barnett.
Okay, moving on to Amber and Barnett. Okay, I thought Amber was an 8.
8s don't cry on camera.
Potentially. I will give you 7, but she is 100% not a 2 because of the grudge that she holds towards Jessica.
You think 2s wouldn't hold a grudge?
I think so. From observing, like, Natalie and KJ, they just want to let go of that anger. So, like, with Natalie, like I said, they're very forgiving. Like, people have done some, like, messed up shit to her. And she's like, I hope they're happy and I hope they're having a good life. And I hope one day we can be friends again. Amber has had a year to get over all of this.
And she's still not fucking giving it up.
And that's why I thought 8 too, because 8s hold those grudges real fucking hard.
I will give you 7 if we can compromise on 7, because I can see 7s going to 1 and being like, but I'm fucking right, and then never let go of it.
If we do 7, can she have an 8-wing?
She can have an 8-wing.
Thank you.
There you go. It's like a podcast between a 5 and a 9. You have to negotiate on every point. You must come to a consensus. But anyways.
But yeah. My other thing with the whole 8 is I can't see a 2 ever really being in the army, especially in the, like, tank ranks, because she was an ex-tank mechanic or something like that.
Yeah, I think that...
Which...
like, it's possible that's about image, though.
True, but the thing is, she probably got dishonorably discharged because of all the hints that... So, A, if she was having trouble finding a job, and B, she wouldn't have student debt if she had ended well, because they retroactively erased that.
Oh, she dropped out of college. That's why she has student debt.
Yeah, but even so, the military would pay for it and erase student debt.
What?
From GI Bills. Yeah, so she wouldn't have that. So like, if I join now, my dad's like, you should join now because you'll get that tuition covered. The only reason she would lose that is if she was, like, dishonorably discharged or didn't finish a contract or something like that. Mm. So if it was image driven...
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. She might have had... I will give her the benefit of the doubt, and I will say maybe something happened with the paperwork, because that does happen, but KJ and I were on Reddit, and there were a lot of people... Well, A, I grew up in a military family, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, that doesn't sound right. And B, we were all on Reddit, and the only conclusion that Reddit could come up with was that she was probably dishonorably discharged.
Okay. I'll call her a 7 then. I can see... No offense to 7s. I love you, 7s. But I can see y'all getting yourself into trouble in the army. Somebody tell you what you have to do all of the time.
Yeah.
Gonna cause some issues.
Plus, he's always like, you're so fun. Like, Barnett's always like, you're so fun. I enjoy being with you. It's always fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like 7s are fun. 7s are too much fun for me. We will get into that in our episode on 5s.
Okay, so you and I agreed on Barnett, though.
Yeah. Barnett is 6-wing 5 for us. Yeah. I also
saw Barnett around his family, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's a 6.
Yeah. Oh, it was a hard 6. Like, no. Also, I'm not gonna lie, but, like, Barnett's attitude towards, like, women kind of mirrors my 6-wing 5 brother's attitude. There were a lot of similarities, and I was like, ooh. Yeah. I thought Barnett was going to say no. And my partner was like, no, he's too dumb to say no. And so my partner was right.
Yep.
Also, we were debating. I was like, I give Barnett and Amber 5 years because of the money thing.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah. in the reunion, Amber had already, like, thought of divorce and was, like, looking up divorce lawyers and almost called one. And so I don't give them... KJ was like, I give them 10 years, not 5. And I was like, no. And then she brought up the divorce lawyer thing, and he was like, you know what, maybe you're right, maybe 5.
Oh. Well,
though I will give them more years if they have a child.
I think part of the thing with that 8 wing is that the 6 wing makes you so paranoid that it's much easier as a 7 to plan for your future and the things that you can't yet see, you know?
Yeah.
But the 8 wing is, I think, really feeds the impulsivity. Because you have to be independent and just do fucking stuff on your own.
And she talked about how difficult it was for her to be financially dependent on him because she couldn't get a job. Which also, if she wasn't dishonorably discharged from the military, it's generally a lot easier for people who are retired or, like, ended on good terms to find a good job afterwards because they get that training and then they have good letters of recommendation and stuff like that and good references. So she couldn't find a job and she was financially dependent on him, and that was rough for her, which I found so funny because the entire time she was like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, what do you think's going? Huh?
Maybe that's why I thought she was a 2.
Yeah. But she couldn't handle being financially dependent on him. So, Which I don't think a 2 would mind as much. I'm not going to lie. Because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And, like, there are ties to independence and, like, needing purpose and things like that. But I think a 2 out of all of the numbers would be the most suited to stay-at-home parenthood.
Yeah. Well, because they find it rewarding in a way that a lot of other numbers won't.
Yeah. Like, I can't see a 5 being a stay-at-home parent. It would get too...
Yeah. You have to also do other things with your life.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all the things. You just have to do enough of things.
Yes. Okay. You want to move on to the next couple?
Sure. I thought these were the most boring.
Oh, yeah. They were the most boring. But they were the ones that KJ was rooting for the most. And I was like, they're going to blow up.
How?
So, Kenny and Kelly. So, I thought Kenny was a 9. And...
I don't think so. I think he's in the body triad. But, hear me out, I think that he's an 8.
Okay.
Because he has this thing about control. When Kelly breaks up with him, stands him up on the altar, and he blows up at the cameraman, you saw that as, like, a 9 being repressed so much that they've, like, exploded. I saw that as, like, control rage. And he said, I have a quote from that time, I have ultimate control. I have another quote from my roommate, who is an 8, we decided, after playing the game, which we'll have another episode on the Enneagram game later. My roommate said, I know my people when I see them.
Okay.
But I think go back and look at the revisiting, the wrap-up interview. He talked about how it doesn't matter how people look at it, which is, like, 8s being, like, fuck image. That he's, with his new relationship, been able to give and receive vulnerability, which reads to me like going to 2, and that you can get through anything. There was, like, this sort of, like, endurance mentality.
Okay. I will concede that is plausible. I'll give my argument. So, nines also have a thing about control. And the more stressed out they get, especially, like, getting broken up with at the altar, the more they need that control. And so, like, for instance, like, when you and I would get drunk in Japan and you'd be like, I'm going to throw up, and then you'd be trying to, like, control it. And I'd be like, well, just throw up. And you'd be like, I can't. I need control over my body. I need control. And you were really stressed out and really angry, and you were like, I'm going to control my body. I'm going to control everything that I can. And so the more stressed out you get, the more control you need, because you go to 6 and you start panicking and you're like, you know. I definitely clocked the blowing up at the cameraman as repressed 9 anger, because 9's run away. And that's what he was doing. He was running away, and the cameraman's trying to follow him and get answers. And so he did his little speech that was composed, and he was like, thank you for being here, trying to ease the tension in the room, which is a 9 thing. Then he ran, and when the cameraman wouldn't leave him alone, that's when he blew up, and that's when he needed control.
I will concede an 8 wing.
Okay. He could be an 8, though. I just found him so mellow for an 8.
Yeah.
Like, day-to-day life.
Pretty even keel.
Yeah. And that's why. And, like, out of all the 8s I know, even the ones that are more subdued, they're still more, I don't know, I don't want to say aggression, but, like, presence, you know?
Yeah.
Like, 8s have a presence. And I don't think Kenny did. He was very boring.
9s have never been present for anything in their life.
Yeah.
Speaking of 9s, Kelly is definitely a 9.
Okay. I will concede Kelly's a 9. I knew she was on that 3-6-9 triad somewhere, and I just placed her as a 6. And my only reason for that was it was something she said about, like, needing stability or something somewhere in the show. There was something like when she was looking for a partner or whatever. I can't even remember the quote. And so I was like, 6. But no, I will concede 9. Yeah. Because that makes more sense.
Okay, first of all, I don't know why everyone on this show is, like, on that 3-6-9 little triad, like, triangle of death. But it's freaky. And then second of all, I have a quote from the last episode, the one where they have a reunion. And she's talked about, like, I'm moving past the idea of, like, you attract what you put out, and that it's more towards, like, what are you going to accept into your life. And 6s would never accept anything unless it's been checked by the bomb squad. Like, they don't accept things.
That's so, okay, yes, that's very true, and I definitely will give you 9. I do have a theory about why most of them are on the 3-6-9 triad, and that's because those are the ones that are most removed from their center. And so they have, like, the biggest blind spots to their center, which I think would make them susceptible to a reality TV show like this, where people are convincing you to, like, not listen to your gut or not listen to your feelings. Like, the producers are trying to do that. You broke up a little bit.
They make good drama.
Yeah, because they don't have they're blinded by it. So I don't know. Okay, you want to move on to the next couple? So talking about Diamond and Carlton.
Okay, I didn't really type Diamond or Carlton that much.
Diamond was hard for me to type because we didn't see her very much.
Right. We saw much less of them than the rest of the people on the show, so I think that was a bit harder.
Yeah. I definitely think Carlton is either a 3 or 6 for me. I went with 3 because he is so image conscious.
I think I buy more that he's a fear-centered type, though. That he's in the head center.
That could be, I could see that. I put him in the feeling center because when he was talking about all the, like, LGBTQ stuff, it was more like what people would think about him, what misconceptions they have. It was all kind of image focused for me. And even in the reunion episode, he was talking about how people see LGBTQ people specifically. And I don't know why this made KJ so mad, but he kept saying fluid people.
Yeah, I think he's got some trauma, though.
He does.
You can tell when he talks about it, and also keeping in mind his background, I'm pretty sure he grew up being the son of a religious leader. Like, I don't know what they're called in Christianity, because there's a bunch of different...
Yeah, like, it depends on which one.
Yeah.
Pastor, preacher,
priest.
Whatever.
And that, like, adds a whole nother fucking layer into all of that societal shit. So I think he's got some residual trauma.
Yeah. I just think I'm leaning more towards 6 now, because I feel like he goes to 3 in stress. Yeah. So, like, I'm so, like, look at me, I'm cool, like, I'm gonna be good without you.
I don't need you.
I don't need you. Your wig's slipping.
I don't need anybody.
Yeah, it's
me on my little island, all alone. It's fine.
Oh, I feel so bad for him. Let's see. Diamond. So personally, I think Diamond responded well, in a sense. I mean, I think she could have responded
better.
I think she could have responded a little better with the initial one, when she was kind of shocked a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, when she tried to have that secondary conversation where she's like, why did you try and keep this from me? Like, why isn't this something that came up in the pods? Like, that and Carlton blowing up on her there. I think in the very beginning of that, she held her cool very well and approached that better. And then...
lost it, though. Yeah. She lost it.
Yeah. So... But he was, like, straight up attacking her, like, personally, when that happened.
He called her a fucking bitch.
He did. That's when she lost it, and that's why I thought she was a 3, because, like, her whole thing with her name, and, like, my mama named me Diamond because I'm, you know, and her, when she got so offended at Barnett calling her a stripper.
I loved how much she was just like, nope.
Nope.
Everyone was falling for Barnett's shit at the very beginning, and Diamond was like, you guys, he's a dick, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She clocked him so well, because he was a little bit of a dick. Because
he got better.
He did get better.
He was just so wishy-washy. And during that time, I thought he might have been a 9, but I think looking at him with his family, he's a 6.
See, that's when I clocked him as a 6, because he wasn't making a definitive choice. He wasn't able to lock down. He needed that security. And then as soon as he chose...
Like me, though.
Huh?
That reads like a 9 to me, though.
True. That's true. I don't know. You
Sorry,
good with that?
Water drinking loud?
No.
Okay, good.
That's fine. You want to move on?
Sure. I do want to bring up, during the reunion episode, when they replayed that scene, Diamond actually mouthed physically the words when he was like, your wig's been sliding. She, like, was mouthing the words, and she had this little, like, smile on her face. I don't think it was a genuine smile, but I think she had, like, watched that so many fucking times, you know? And I thought it was so interesting. It doesn't have anything to do with Enneagram or the types or anything, but just, like, seeing
I wonder how many times she did watch that.
You should go back to that episode and just look at, like, the sort of camera on her while they're replaying the scene. It's interesting.
Okay, I will definitely go back and relook at it. Alright. Damien and Gianina.
Gianina's such a 4.
She's a 4. She's a 4-3.
He gets me. I self-sabotage. It's all about self-love.
And then I personally clocked her as a 4 because of all the, like, fake deep stuff she would say. Like when she's at her wedding and she's like, a phoenix will rise from the ashes. And I'm like, oh, okay, honey. No. Like, it just made me want to gag. Like, that one sticks in my head so much. And then, like, the butterfly metaphor, KJ and I were both like, shut up with the butterflies. Like, shut up with the butterflies. I also, one of my notes is, she loves to hear her own voice. Yeah. Definitely a 4-3. She's such a 4. She's so 4. Yeah. Damien, we disagreed.
We did. I'm not actually set on that, right?
Okay.
But I'm gonna like state my evidence.
Okay.
For my reason. He gave me a really big 1 energy, and I'm not sure if that means that he's a 1 or he's in stress to 1 or if he has like a 1 wing. But he makes her unpack right away when they move into their apartment. She's like, I don't unpack. And he's like, you do now. And he like sits there and makes her take out her clothes and put them on hangers. And then, like, when they break up and it blows up, he does kind of, like, blame her for the breakup, despite the fact that he was the one that broke up with her. He was, you're running away from us, and, like, I did this for your own good, and, like, essentially, like, I'm doing what's right, is sort of what he's saying with all of that. And he literally says in an interview later, I want to make sure it's done right when, like, talking about if they're going to get married in the future. I want to make sure it's done right. And then he did say, like, he didn't know he was going to say no until the moment of, which sounds to me like body center instinct.
You're swaying me a little bit, I'm not going to lie, because I do agree that there might be some body center stuff there. I put him as a 6 wing 5. The reason being is because he displaces so much. So, like, when stuff is going wrong, and he's like, specifically when he told her she's running away, when he was the one who was actually ending things, I took that as, like, such a displacement thing. And all of the arguments they had, he kind of put a lot of it on to her, and a lot of it onto her communication skills and stuff like that. And I looked at it more as a, like, half of the things that he was saying was stuff that he was doing too. And it was more of a, like, I'm going to put it on you. Because I caught that, like, 6 displacement. I also clocked him as a 6 just because of, like, the whole family situation. And, like, 6s generally come from, like, during, like, the icebergs theory and stuff like that, 6s feel like they had, like, an overbearing parent or a parent that wasn't stable or something like that. And it's very clear that his parents are very disapproving of what he's doing. And yet he still went on the show, which I don't think a 1 would if they cared that much about their family. I also think that something about his family not being at the wedding might have had something to do with him not going through with it and needing that, like, parental security and parental approval.
What about a compromise? He's a 9 with a 1 wing that's gone to 6.
Oh, I think you might be right.
Because I'm just thinking about, like, the times,
especially since, like, it's all controlled.
Oh, don't look at your phone. Look at me when we're having a conversation. Why are you like shutting down right now? Why are you walking away right now? Like, do you remember when they were having those fights? I was like, that could be 9 behavior right there.
Okay, I agree. 9 wing 1. That fits. That fits all the pieces.
Okay, working together.
And now we get to the garbage can fire. That was the last relationship. Jessica and Mark.
Okay, can I just say, as a 9, watching Jessica on TV is absolutely fucking terrifying, because that's what you have to become. And even worse, that's who you are, because she's going to you. Talk about an existential crisis.
Oh my god. So she's a 3. We both agreed on that. A hard 3. So 3's passion is, like, deceit and lies. which I think we can all agree was a big problem for Jessica.
But the biggest thing was that she was constantly lying to herself about being honest. She was constantly like, I was always honest. I've always been honest. I've always told the truth, blah, blah, blah. And, like, the mental gymnastics involved in having to, like, be so shut off to your inner self that you can convince yourself that what happened there was always being honest is just, like, exhausting.
That's so many lies. I put, one of my notes is that she only says what she thinks people want to hear. So, like, she'll go to them specifically. She'll, like, smoosh them up with what she thinks they want to hear. I specifically want to talk about the scene where she comes over to Amber during the bachelorette party. And she's like, I don't want to steal your man. And Amber is, like, caressing her hair and is like, I will beat your ass. And they're both so drunk. That was very 3. And that also gave me 8 vibes. But I will agree now, 7, wing 8. Especially the drunkenness. That drunk episode. Oh, her drunk interview. That was hilarious. That was, whew. But yeah. You want to talk about her alcoholism?
Yes, but no.
Why not?
Jessica makes me uncomfortable for a variety of reasons. You know what, I'm sure she's a lovely person, IRL. Maybe not.
Is she? Is she, though?
Probably not.
She might have done some work in the year. She did say she did say that she had done some work.
Oh, but can we just, like, for a moment, though, think about what it's like to be a 3, to go on a show like this, and then come out of it looking so bad like that?
Oh, yeah.
How absolutely devastating that must be. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Also, I feel like that's the only reason she went with Mark is because she knew that stuff had been filmed already. And if she didn't end with the fiancé, I think she would feel so embarrassed.
So apparently, I heard this, actually, and I was going to bring it up later. But from one of the interviews with, I think it was Gigi and Damien, in their agreement for the show, once they got engaged, they had to make it to the altar. I don't know what the fuck happened with, like, the blow-up between Diamond and Carlton. Like, that's obviously extenuating circumstances. But according to Damien, in an interview, he said, we had to make it to the altar. Which then makes sense why Kelly and Kenny had sort of agreed to not get married off of camera before their actual ceremony.
Yeah. It also makes sense why they didn't have sex for so long.
Right. Because they knew, like, we're not going to end out of... Yeah. So.
Yeah. Which I want to talk about that in a second. But we got to get to Mark, who is a 2.
This poor marshmallow man.
So, my partner, who is also a 2, cannot stand Mark. And I think it's the same reason you don't like watching Jessica and stuff. He's like, I think he sees it as, like, the worst, the worst versions of 2.
Yeah.
And so, we got into this, we were discussing him, right? And he was like, I just hate him because he's putting up with so much, like, abuse, and he's so blind, and he doesn't see it. And I was like, so we had been watching the new Sabrina series on Netflix, and I was like, well, what about Hilda? Because Hilda on the show is also a 2. And he was like, she's completely different. And I was like, is she? She has stayed for over, like, 100 years with Zelda, who is absolutely abusive to the point where she kills Hilda multiple times and will bury her and, like, resurrect her. And Hilda still stays. And KJ was like, oh, you're right, and I hate it. And so it's like a 2 thing to be so blinded. And also, I think it's I have a funny feeling he thought he could fix her.
It's an ego boost.
Mm-hmm. It's that pride.
And
that too pride.
Also, like, think about the implications, though, of walking away from that. Like, what that feels like to a two, because, like, that's essentially saying and acknowledging and recognizing the fact that the person that you love doesn't love you, and their whole fear is that they're unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so hard. It's so hard to walk away from something like that, right? Especially when it's a 3, and they're saying just enough for you to fool yourself into thinking that...
Yeah, they're saying all the right things.
That 2 pride, you can fool yourself into thinking, you know what? This is enough to work with. I will be enough to be lovable enough so that this will all work out, you know?
Yeah.
He set up that little blanket and was like, I'm going to make it back pods. And it was like doing all this stuff. He just kept doing stuff to like try to work on their relationship and refused to acknowledge that it was not being reciprocated.
Oh, also, so when we first started messaging about this show, you told me he was like emotionally mature. Where? Where is Mark emotionally mature?
He's more emotionally mature than Jessica in terms of making a decisive choice.
Is he
Jessica
though?
Is so
because he
attempts though. Is you're like actually like the worst out of all of the heart center in terms of getting in touch with your emotions because you have the blind spot.
But I don't think he is emotionally mature, and I don't think he is emotionally more mature than Jessica because he's so blind and he's so bad at reading her emotions and he's so bad at reading her and he's so focused on attaching himself to something that's just not going to work and he can't accept it and he can't let it go. I would say he's just as emotionally mature and just as unhealthy as she is, but in 2s it just shows up different.
I'll buy it.
Okay.
That was a train wreck. Makes good content though.
Yes.
Okay, so who is Rory? Because you have this thing about...
Okay, we have an overall show notes section. So there was this dude, and he's only in 1 episode, and it's while they're in the pods, right? And his name is Rory, and all he's doing is he goes around to people, and he talks to them, and gets all the info. And I was like, if there was a 5 there, it was Rory. Because all he wanted to do, the only thing he's ever seen is talking to people and getting all their info. And it's like, yes, tell me more. Well, I'll give you this little bit of advice. Well, yes. And so he only shows up in conversations with other people when they're just info dumping on him. And he's just absorbing it like a sponge. And not in a 4 way, where 4s can also get people to open up, but in a very 5 analytical way. And my notes are a 5 who only showed up to witness the drama firsthand and probably signed up because they thought it was like a real experiment.
I'll present a study. Sure. Yeah. That's interesting.
And then as soon as he's signed up and he realizes what it actually is, he's like, oh, you know what, I'll see this through. And he gets all the drama. Probably had a 4 wing. There was also...
I see you have below that something that I also noted, which was the guy, they like had an episode early on where they were talking about sex, and they were like, someone asked me if I was a virgin. Is anyone a virgin here? And there's just this one guy who like tentatively raises his hands, and he looks like, have you seen Arrested Development?
Yes.
The brother that does all the magic tricks?
Yes,
looks like
it does.
Guy, right?
Yes.
And he has this whole thing about like, oh, you know, I want to be someone's Prince Charming. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is actually kind of wholesome and sweet. But that's literally all you see of him.
Okay. So my other note, the sight unseen and the experiment that they kept repeating, like all the one-liners that they were trying to make happen, and it's like, sight unseen is not going to happen. Just shut up. Like, it's not. Just stop. Yeah. Is love really blind? Okay.
You know what? I respect Lauren so much for calling them out on this in the, like, post show interview stuff. Not necessarily calling them out in a bad way, but just being like, you guys talked about that a lot, and we talked about other stuff too. But about the fact that she's in an interracial relationship, you know, with it's like, oh my gosh, their interracial relationship, is it going to survive her tough father? Like that was kind of like bullshit, you know. They didn't even.
Well, the thing is, I don't think they had enough drama in their actual relationship, so they were probably scrounging around for something they could use, anything they could use for drama, and that was it.
But it ended up just really playing up the fact that, like, oh my gosh, is it going to work? Can two people from different races be together in this society in 2020? You act like it hasn't been done before.
No.
It has.
So a quote I pulled from my partner at the end, he was like, it's like they expect me to be happy for them, but I'm not. In regards to Jessica's, like, slow-mo entrance at her wedding.
Oh gosh.
I just had to put that in there because that's so funny.
Can I, like, actually, though, if we're talking about the overall show notes, I do have, like, a couple of things, particularly, like, reality television. I think it's very easy, you know, there are characters that are being created by producers for our consumption, so it's very easy to forget that they're real people. But, you know, we're really not trying to rag on anyone, like, as a person.
Oh, yeah.
We're ragging on the character that has been created by producers and or how they present themselves on television. You know, like, I was listening in that last episode, that wrap-up interview, about how people had been, like, the quote-unquote keyboard warriors, and people had getting, like, super harassed. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. That is not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is just to have fun and talk about the Enneagram and talk about something that has blown up in pop culture.
Yeah. We enjoyed watching it, and hope you do as well if you choose to. If not, this episode probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but hopefully you are still getting something out of it. You have one last important, like, content note, right?
Oh, yeah. This was, like, an overall couple note, and it was how I had predicted which ones were going to last and which ones weren't. Like, when Jay and I were talking about it, and it was their sex lives. Because I think sexual compatibility is so important in a relationship. And, well, not even just sexual compatibility, but, like, an overall agreement and happiness with your sex life, whatever that means. So, like, if two ace people don't want to have sex at all in their relationship, cool, great, they work, perfect. But, like, when you get into stuff like BDSM, if you've got someone who doesn't want BDSM in the relationship, even if, like, their vanilla sex is super compatible and they have that passion, if they're not on page about what kinks, like, one person can live without and what the other person is willing to do, that kind of thing, or open relationships and things like that. I think that is a very good way to tell whether or not a relationship will last, especially since sex, it's a good way to illustrate the communication of a relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's my big takeaway, is that, like, sex can have varying importance to you as a person, but the fact that we've, I hate Foucault, but, you know, his whole history of sexuality and the idea of the place that sex has in our life, and the fact that we sort of made it a taboo subject, and I've also made it way more important by making it a taboo subject.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that, like, because of that, it holds a lot of weight in our relationships, culturally, but also holds less space in our communication.
Yeah.
So I think that the sort of big determination of whether that's going to play out well or not, why that's the reason, is because of those cultural factors where you can really see how a couple or a relationship is going to communicate based on their sex life. You know, like, you can see whether they have good communication or whether they're making assumptions about what is normative or making assumptions about what their partner wants that is maybe not well informed. And that starts to break down, especially if people don't talk.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was a huge example in Kenny and Kelly's relationship. Because he was like, we haven't been physical yet. And she's like, that's because whenever I've had relationships in the past, I've had trouble orgasming and stuff like that. And so instead of trying to communicate with him and trying it out and trying to figure it out and talk about her needs and her wants and seeing if he's receptive to them, she was like, instead of doing that, we're just going to shut it down and we're not gonna. Because, yeah, they still... Sorry?
Oh, no, I was going to say that, like, Mark and Jessica is also... The dumpster fire of Mark and Jessica is also a big example. Because she was really hesitant to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was an indication, not necessarily of, like, that specifically, but of broader things in their relationship that were going wrong. The communication.
All of the relationships that are still together today are the ones that had good sex. Because even Gianina and Damien got together. They're dating again, even though they didn't get married.
Well, they haven't talked about it. Gigi was like, Damien, I don't like the sex.
That's true. And so the two couples that liked their sex, were enjoying it, were able to talk about it, were the ones that got married. The one that they ended up talking, but they didn't talk enough about, and they were having bad sex in the beginning, didn't get married, but they're still together because they're talking about it. And then the two that just absolutely did not have sex or had reluctance and honestly, you know, in Mark and Jessica's case, I would assume bad sex just because Jessica did not want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? Those two completely ended. And so I just think that your sexual compatibility or your sex life as a couple is such a huge indication of how well your relationship is going.
And you don't need to have sex to have a sex life, but just how you talk about and how you, like, as a relationship and as a couple, how you discuss and what your goals are.
Yes.
And what your comfortability is with sex. Because there's lots of people in the world who don't want to have sex or aren't interested in it for whatever reasons, and that's totally fine. You can still have those discussions.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. In fact, they're probably the better couples.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, are we ready to move on to some fun stuff?
Yep.
So there have been a lot of memes about this show, and so on our Twitter account, I tweeted like a compilation of them, and they're so good. But my favorite one is the Mark is blind one.
Nice. I need to find this, and I will find this and send it out on Twitter and stuff. But I did come across a meme earlier. I'm so sad I didn't save it. But it was Jessica 34 and then COVID-19.
I've seen that one.
I need to find it. I can't.
It's so good.
It's a good one. It's my favorite.
All right. So there have been a ton of BuzzFeed quizzes that have popped up about this. And I thought it would be fun for us to take one of these, maybe together, or I'm not sure. Did you
do a walk through it together?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
let's see.
I already have I took them in preparation because I wasn't sure
what
it looked like in our episodes. But I can walk through one together with you as well. So which one do you want to do?
Let's see. I want to do which Love is Blind character is actually your soulmate, because I would be hella interested for it to actually turn out to be Mark, because I am in a relationship with the two.
I don't think there were any 7s on the show. Did we decide if someone was a 7? Oh, what was
Amber?
Amber.
Amber 7-wing 8.
That's like really different from a 6-wing.
That's true. All right. What is the quality you find most attractive in a partner? I'm gonna say sense of humor.
I am gonna put spontaneity.
Okay.
I need someone to break me from my routines.
Okay. Choose a perfect date. I think couples massage. I almost chose cook a romantic dinner, but honestly, I've been trapped in the house for way too long. I would rather eat out at this point. I can't wait until I can go out to eat.
Couples massage. Who's gonna pass up a fucking massage, you know?
That's so true.
Walk the dog.
Okay, pick a meal to eat with your partner. Okay. So, my partner is... Sorry?
I said I've never had beef in my life.
Yes. My partner is vegetarian as well. So, I'm either going to go pasta or pizza. We'll go pasta. Let's see. You're having a date night. How many glasses of red wine will you drink? I think I'll have whiskey instead. I'll agree. Your whiskey milk tea that we would drink in Japan.
Whiskey milk tea is actually kind of good. Okay.
It's so good.
Visited briefly pre-COVID, and was staying at my grandma's house, so of course had to buy liquor to deal with that shit show. And left me her liquor when she left town, and it was some very nice whiskey.
Ooh.
I was that's completely off the rails. Okay, pick a dog. I'm going to, like, I think the internet will hate me for this, but I don't actually like dogs.
Oh. So, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
KJ loves dogs, and we've already discussed what type of dog we're going to get. A Great Pyrenees is going to be our first dog, but that's not a choice here. And so out of the choices here, I'm going to go with a little pit bull.
Yeah. So I'm definitely a cat person if I am any animal person. I don't know why my page is not working very well, but it's just like having almost a child, and I'm not ready for that, ever. I will have actual kids before I have a dog.
There's going to be such a baby boom because of the COVID-19 stuff. Because, like, even KJ and I have been talking about kids. But, like, I don't know. It's just... Oh, I'm so glad I have my arm implant. What would be a deal breaker in a relationship?
I'm going to say they're emotionally available.
They aren't emotionally available? That one's not as much of a problem to me because I'm emotionally unavailable. I'm going to say...
I've been in relationships with both. Emotionally, it's like people who are way too emotionally available and people who are way too emotionally unavailable.
I'm going to say a large age gap for me. I got Gigi too.
Yeah. So which is weird because I've dated a 4 before and it did not turn out well.
I've never dated a 4. But I have seen KJ when he goes to 4. So. Yeah, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. Let's see.
We'll take it.
All right. I'm going to link all of the ones that I have saved into our episode description so you can take them. And please tweet your results at us or email us your results, because I kind of want to know. I want to hear.
And let us know what your number is.
So I thought of a question of the week for this week, just an outstanding one. So we plan on doing probably another one of these bonus episodes. Our next one is going to be the Tiger King documentary.
I got some good memes about that.
Yes. So I want to hear what you guys would like us to do in the future, in case there is another time when we could do a bonus episode or something like that, or just good TV recommendations. What would you guys like to hear us talk about TV show wise? Sound good? You like that question of the week?
That's a good question. Also, just feel free to email us. How's it going? What are you spending your free time on? That kind of stuff. I'm assuming that people have more extra time, though.
Yeah, because we definitely do, and we would definitely love to read your emails now, because we're so bored.
Right. I feel like now when I go outside, I've been trying to like go on walks occasionally, so I don't lose my mind. And I go outside, and part of it's really great because now I have an excuse for not liking passing people in the street. You know, like there's always that kind of awkward thing where you're never quite sure, like, are we doing the East Coast thing where we just don't even fucking acknowledge each other? Are we doing the West Coast thing where we like pretend that we're not going to acknowledge each other but kind of look at each other? Or are we doing the Midwest thing where we stop and have a 5-minute chat? But now all of that's avoided because, you know, people walk purposefully. They will like cross the other side of the street, not to have to see you. All this goes to say that I like haven't spoken to many other humans in the past few weeks and would love to receive your emails.
Yes. Also, leave us a review. Leave us a comment on our YouTube page. Thanks, guys. Yeah. We love you.